Want to stop juggling spreadsheets, calendars, and a dozen apps just to run your rentals? Lodgify makes it easy. It's an all-in-one toolkit for hosts. Build a direct booking website, automate guest messaging, and keep all your channels in sync. Running your rental business your way has never been simpler. And for Good Morning Hospitality listeners, you can get 20% off any yearly plan with code GMH20. Just check the link in the show notes to get started today.
Hospitality, your one-stop shop for the latest news, noteworthy trends, and thought-provoking discussions across the industry. From hotels to short-term rentals to all things travel and hospitality, you'll find each episode equips you with the information that you need to start your week. Join us on Good Morning Hospitality every Wednesday, wherever you get your podcasts.
And good morning, everybody. Welcome to another episode here of Good Morning Hospitality. And you might notice we're missing Sarah this week. She's out in Asia traveling for 3 weeks. And if you haven't seen what she's up to, make sure to follow her at Ask a Concierge on Instagram. But we have a fantastic guest host. We've been getting to know each other for the last couple of weeks. And I would like to introduce you to Katie Klein. Katie, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Steve. It is so lovely to see you again. And I always love listening to you and Sarah. So really an honor for me to be here with you today.
So why don't you tell the listeners and viewers here a little bit about yourself so they get to know you, because you've got some great things coming up.
Thank you. I have always worked in public relations. I started my career in the fashion industry, worked for a brief moment in beauty and technology. But then more than a decade ago, I found my true love and my home in this wonderful travel industry of ours. I was fortunate to lead global PR and communications for really some of the world's best hotel brands. That's brands like Ritz-Carlton, W Hotels, St. Regis, Bulgari, etc. Many, many more in both New York and in London. And very excitingly, on October 3rd, I am launching a new hospitality.fm original podcast called Sweet Success. And of course, that's sweet like hotel suite. And in it, I'll be interviewing hotel execs, innovators within the industry, and just really hospitality leaders in order to understand the strategies, the secrets that they implement every day and to really make their brands stand out. So we have an amazing, amazing guest list of which you have kindly agreed to be on as well. So fans of Steve, make sure to tune into that episode. We actually have not recorded it yet. So please hit me up with any questions you have for Steve. Let's ask him all the good stuff.
I love it. And you do have a great list of guests that are coming on there, and just a fun and unique background. And so we'll talk some more about that in some of these episodes, because I want to get your perspective from your hotel life. But for here, today, where are you recording from? Because I'm live in Miami, and we always like to ask the listeners where they're watching from. Where are you recording live from today?
Amazing. I am recording from New York City here in Astoria, Queens. I like to think of Queens as Brooklyn without the ego.
I like it. I got to get over there. I haven't been to Queens. I've only been in Manhattan and Brooklyn, so I need to kind of.
Oh my goodness, you are missing out.
I got to get on over there. So for listeners, I'm got it locked in. So listeners and viewers, make sure to give us a nice, kind welcome to Katie here in the comments. We love interacting with you. So let us know where you're watching from. But we've got some great stories to share with you, everybody, today. Yeah. Should we jump in? What do you think? Are you ready?
Let's do it. We have so much to discuss.
All right. So this is pretty exciting because there is a new wellness hotel company coming up, and it is being founded by Sam Nazarian and Tony Robbins. So it's a unique combination. So for listeners out there that may not know, Sam Nazarian was the founder of SBE, which founded SLS Hotels that he sold to Accor. And now he is creating a new company, and it is being called The Estate. It is a luxury hotel chain that is focusing on wellness. And they partnered with Tony Robbins, who also has his company that focuses on wellness. And they're planning on opening 15 luxury hotels and 10 wellness centers by 2030. So pretty impressive. You know, the wellness world is starting to expand. There's a lot more hotels getting into this space. We have one here in my backyard, the Carolyn Wellness Resort and Spa, that got mentioned in this article. But what do you think about this when you're seeing this come up?
I mean, first of all, I love Tony Robbins, so
Yep.
I'm very excited about this. I think what's interesting about him entering this space is, we've seen for a while this overall trend of celebrities or brands wanting to enter hospitality. If you take things like Fendi residences or the Dior suites at,
Yep.
different hotels and whatnot. And to me, that makes sense because you have a more physical brand wanting to enter the experiential space. But you could argue that Tony Robbins is already in the experiential space with those
Mhm.
crazy events that he puts on. So
Yep.
I think it's going to be really interesting to see what he brings to the table.
I love it. Have you been to any of his events before?
I have not. I've read a
I
few
have.
books. I've read a
I've
few books.
been.
I've listened to some podcasts. Have you gone?
I've been to Unleash the Power Within. I went back in 2016 in Chicago, and I walked across a fire in coals, which I didn't think was possible, 50 yards across them. And so he gets you into the right mindset. And so I know he is passionate about creating unique experiences, making sure people are healthy and living their best life. And Sam Nazarian has created really some of the best boutique hotels and clubs around the world. And so I'd love to see this come together. And I know
Yeah.
that this article, Sam's home base is here in Miami, and I know
Mhm.
some of his team, and he had some health issues, and he really credits going to Tony Robbins' facilities where he was able to catch that he had a life-threatening brain aneurysm that he was able to fix. And so that's really what Tony Robbins wants to focus on in these hotels. But it's unique, so it's not going to be cheap, right? I guess wellness is not cheap, so $1,000 a night to be there. And then if you want to join their membership longevity centers, $35,000 a year.
Mhm.
A
Mhm.
lot of membership clubs coming online. What do you think? You think this will be one of those membership clubs that takes off?
I mean, firstly, I'm hoping the entrance to the hotel is not walking over a hot flame because I'm very impressed with you for doing that, but I'm not really sure that like sets the welcome experience we're looking
Yeah.
for. But
Walk
I
across this, you can accomplish anything.
exactly, if you can get in here, you can actually get in here. But I think exactly what you're saying is really interesting. First of all, it comes at a price point, and actually we're seeing that across this kind of wellness space, right? More interesting too is this kind of preventative medicine slant. I read recently that Daniel Ek, who was the Spotify founder, his holistic healthcare startup, I think it's called Neko Health, recently opened in London. I think it's their first location outside of Sweden. And that's all about, a full body scan to detect these types of things that might be hiding in the body. So you're seeing that happen here too. And lastly, I think really what you touched on is the authenticity of this partnership. The fact that Sam actually had potentially life-saving treatment because of what this company that Tony has already been an investor in had discovered.
Yeah, it's going to be exciting. I would go. I like this as I get older now. Like, you don't need to share your age, but I'm 42, and it seems like every year in my 40s, something starts to ache a little bit more. It's
Oh,
harder to
yes.
work out. Like I got up this morning at 5 a.m., forced myself, let's go. Because I
Yes.
hadn't been, everybody. I've been letting it slide, so now I'm back on it. But I think this is what's great. I would like to travel and stay in these places. I know you have an Equinox hotel up in New York. I don't know if they have any
Mhm.
other places, but those are the kind of places I like going now where I can feel good. It's not about partying. I can maybe do a little bit of that and then feel good the rest of the
Exactly.
day.
Yeah, absolutely. Like you can have a bit of cocktails and then you also have the juices and I think more than that is what these guys are offering too. It's not just there's yoga on the rooftop and a green juice bar or something. It's really kind of what's that next step. But like you said, it comes at a price.
Yeah. Look, I could have a couple of drinks and tap into an IV the next morning. I think it's a good balance for everybody out there.
Exactly. If you really leave your vacation feeling restored and rejuvenated, I mean, that is definitely worth the cost.
Well, we wish them the best of luck. And hey, if you need Katie or I to come by when you start opening to
Oh,
test it out,
yes.
we are happy to be there.
We're available.
And talking about unique hotels, the Michelin Guide has come out with their new wave of 3 key hotels. So we've talked about this in past episodes where the Michelin Guide had came out this past year and they're rating hotels not with stars or diamonds, but with keys. And it goes 1, 2, and 3, with 3 being the best. And they now came out with their new top U.S. 3 key hotels, which are fantastic places. And I'll read them off, and then I want to get your opinion on this because you've been in hotels and what you think about these ratings yourself. So here in the United States, congratulations to the Canyon Ranch in Tucson, the Little Palm Island Resort and Spa right here in my backyard in Florida, Kona Village, a Rosewood Resort in Hawaii, the Sage Lodge in Montana, and man, of course, Amangiri in Utah, all awarded 3 keys by Michelin. So the best of the best. You come from hotels. You talked about the hotels you worked at, which, as we all know, to get those 5 stars and to keep it is very challenging. What do you think about the Michelin key system?
I love it. I mean, when they announced it, I thought, what a perfect brand extension for them. It makes absolute sense to me. A few things that's interesting. First of all, Canyon Ranch you included, and or they included in their 3 keys, and it's really what we were just talking about with what Tony and Sam are doing with the estate,
Mhm.
right? It just proves this rise of wellness, and especially within the luxury hospitality space. Secondly, Sage that you had mentioned in Montana. I had gone out for a friend's wedding a few years back, had gone to Yellowstone and actually went to the spa at Sage, and it was
Oh,
gorgeous, absolutely fantastic. And interestingly, when I went on their website to just have a little peruse around recently, one of the first pop-ups was about their 3 key award. So I think hotels are rightfully putting a lot of stock into this and really feeling the power that that will give potentially to their ADR as well.
yeah, it's unique because these hotels are not the ones you always, Rosewood we think about, but these are not the old standard of Mandarin Oriental, Four Seasons, Ritz-Carlton, St. Regis that
Exactly.
are their 5 stars. This is unique places, and I'm starting to like this a little bit more as I get older. Yeah, I still love the ultra luxury, but everyone's looking for unique experiences, and I think that
Yeah.
that's what they're kind of dialing into. Because I was looking at some of them, some of them are rustic, like the one in Sage, right? Is not the customary luxury hotel. What was it like when you stayed or visited?
It's gorgeous. And I think it goes into this trend, which I don't even want to call it a trend because it just feels obvious at this point that travelers want to feel like they're in the place that they're in, right? And there is no mistaking you are in Montana when you are at that hotel. It is, surrounded by mountains, just absolutely stunning. So I agree. I think they're really trying to focus on hotels that make you feel like you're there. Something that's interesting to watch too is I know back in 2018, Michelin acquired tablet hotels. So I'm wondering what their really plan, maybe their long scale plan is in terms of like the OTA side of it. Because if you go on the Michelin site now, you can actually search hotels. So I assume it's a curated selection, and it's
Yep.
not just hotels that have been given the keys. There's also selected hotels on there as well. So that's interesting, and I wonder what the financial mechanics behind that are.
They're definitely getting a booking fee because I was clicking on it too, right? So as
Yeah,
they're sending people there, they're definitely getting a cut of whoever's booking there, and the awards
yeah,
are a good way to drive that. But
yeah.
like you said, I really like the places that they're picking. So like Little Palm Island, I have not had the chance to stay there. I would love to go here one day, but that was Johnny Depp's favorite place because I feel like you're on an island, no one under the age of 18. There's no phones, no TVs. Like you have your hut and you're out on this island, and they gave it those 3 Michelin keys, which by other standards wouldn't get a Forbes rating or,
Right.
a AAA. So I love seeing this because it's opening people's eyes to trying different things and also highlighting the small guys too, right?
Yeah.
There's a local hotel here that got 2 stars or 2 keys that you didn't win any other awards, and now they're doing fantastic, which I love seeing for the people that have worked really hard in hotels.
Definitely. And I wonder if they'll keep up that kind of veil of secrecy that they're so famous for with
Mhm.
restaurants where you don't know the inspector and they come multiple times to make sure of it. Because I think we all know with some of the other lists that are out there, the hotel might know that that is why the person is staying.
Yeah.
So are they getting the true guest experience? You could argue yes, you could argue no.
Yeah. So in your PR, let's put your PR hat on now, right?
Reveal the
Is
secret.
Yeah, let's reveal a little of the secrets here because some of people times we know people are coming, even though
Yeah.
they're coming in unannounced. What are some tips you might give some hotels if they're trying to get some of these things done and win some awards?
Yeah. I mean, I guess it always goes back to we should always be giving our best foot forward, right? Whether it's just a
Of
regular
course,
guest
always,
in a
always.
standard room, but that's also difficult too. From a PR side, we do often know when people are going to be in house and it's kind of negotiated. So you know who writes the reviews for certain newspapers, for example. And if you are saying, hey, a call from the PR team and this person's going to come to stay, we can't actually control what they're going to write. I've had experiences where we've had hotels host journalists and they haven't been given the right or the best rating. And that's unfortunate, but it's also up to the journalists integrity, right? They really need to report on what they see. So
Yeah, listen, I'm sure if I work with you as the hotel manager, you would have come over to me. Hey, make sure your team's right, Steve. We got so and so in house. Need their amenity delivered. Their cabana needs to be ready. We need to make sure this goes right. So,
and the
I
lineup
can see that.
meeting, right? That happens
Yeah.
in most hotels first thing in the day. They're looking at not only from the journalist side, but the VIP guests who are checking in and potentially having those face sheets so that the whole team can recognize them, not just the GM, but to know that that VIP is in house and take care of them accordingly.
I like it. But yeah, Michelin's being secretive. No one knows that they're in house, and these hotels are being really surprised. So I know that just from in talking to them, which is
Yeah.
very unique. But why don't you take over here? Let's kick it over to you, Katie. It's your turn
Okay.
to talk
We're
some
going to
top.
go from like ultra luxury to travel insurance. So
Yes.
there was a really interesting read from USA Today, shedding some light on this, I'd say difficult to comprehend world sometimes.
Yes.
Travel insurance is probably something that's really grown in popularity since the pandemic. We've seen a rise in disruption, a rise in difficulty around air travel, something you and I were even talking about before we started recording today. And the article reported that um, by 22%, claims have risen. But at the same time, denials of claims have risen by 33%. So, personally, I think this sheds a bit of light onto why people are so frustrated with insurance in the first place. Of
Yes.
you think you're buying something and it's going to protect you, and then when it comes time to file your claim, you haven't done certain things appropriately.
Yeah, and it doesn't cover everything. So a lot of people think like, oh, I just can't go now. That doesn't work in a lot of these cases,
Right.
right? Especially on certain airlines and certain travel partners. You have to show proof of something happening. You have to make sure you read the fine print because you might spend several $100s on that travel insurance. And then, all right, something comes up, you can't go, you want to reschedule, you are not getting that refund. But I got to give a shout out to Universal Studios and Hotels because I did buy it, and which I never usually do. I was like, you know what? Let me just buy it this time. It was $140. And both kids got sick and we couldn't go to the park like we planned. And I called and they said, yeah, you got the travel insurance, full refund. All good.
Wow.
For 140, saved us many, many thousands of dollars.
Yeah.
So it does work in some cases, but there are other cases where people get burned.
I was going to ask you if you're someone who buys it. I have not been someone who's bought it in the past, but just like you touched on there with your kids, I have a 2-year-old. So now it's something I'm starting to think about much more.
Yeah, like you were just flying. So I looked at it. We're trying to plan a summer trip. And I vented about this a couple of weeks ago. And it's very expensive to buy tickets for a family now, 4 people to fly together. And so I was like, all right, let me look into travel insurance. But they don't refund you like if you can't make it. It's like we'll give you credits, we'll see if we can get you on another flight. It's very hard. Like you have to present that you were sick and have doctor's notes and all these different things in the fine print. I was like, oh man, I can see. But insurance is also a business. Like they need to make money.
Exactly. It's so interesting too. I was living in London for the last 5.5 years and only recently moved back to New York. And you have so many more protections there in the EU, even though I know the UK is no longer officially in the EU. But certain things like it's set. If you're delayed by this many hours, you're going to get this much compensation, right? And it does take a lot of the frustration out of that for the traveler. Also takes, we know how much time it takes if you're fighting it with the airline or the hotel. Sometimes these things can take months and hours, and you really have to be dedicated. At a certain point, I think they're hoping we just give up. But what I liked about this article was the journalist really pointing out, make sure you understand your policy, make sure you read the fine print, like you said, and understand the items that are and aren't covered.
Yep. And one of them, and so we'll read a couple of them here. So you get rejected because you have a lack of proper documentation. So they don't have the receipts or the doctor's notes, which they need. They misunderstand the policy, like you've been saying here. And then pre-existing medical conditions. Policies often exclude claims related to pre-existing conditions unless specific waivers are obtained. So that could be anything, right? Yeah. So it's kind of like this weird fine print depending on where you're booking things.
Yeah.
Just kind of keep an eye out before you hit click and accept because you may not get anything back.
She had also talked about the importance of when you sign up for your travel insurance and suggested doing that almost immediately after booking your trip, because a lot of things can become foreseen. So if you're 2 days before your trip and all of a sudden there's some type of global outage like we saw fairly recently, or weather event, once it starts to happen, it's no longer an unforeseen circumstance, right? So if you had booked it in advance, you're covered. But if you're only going to try to purchase it now, you're probably going to be denied even in advance of buying it.
You see? All right. So I vouch for Universal. You'll go see who else you vouch for. Universal Studios. It worked. So we'll take it.
I was sold on Harry Potter right there. So anyway.
Yeah. Are you a big Harry Potter fan?
I'm a huge Harry Potter fan. What about you?
Yeah, now because I got kids, I've been reading the stories. So last night we're on the first book officially. So reading through it, but they've seen the movies, they've been on the rides. So now we're officially in the books.
You're invested. I'm jealous. My daughter, as I said, is only 2, but every day I have the books in her room already, and I am waiting for the day that she wants to hear those stories.
It's gonna come. Hopefully she'll be in Gryffindor. We'll see.
Let's hope. Just not a Slytherin. Anyway.
Yeah. Next topic here.
Moving on to our last article. And this is something I really think needs to be said. It's from our friends at Skift, and it's talking about hotels cracking down on bad guest behavior. The journalist wrote that post-pandemic guest behavior has really deteriorated in many luxury hotels. It's led to an overall decline in the guest experience. And he argues that hotels really need to regain control by enforcing clear standards and ensuring that one disruptive guest doesn't ruin the entire stay for others.
Yeah. So what do you think about this? What are you seeing in those hotels that's maybe like your pet peeve? Because you've seen a lot of things.
This is so true, isn't it? And part of this, again, is coming from London to New York. There is a different way that people behave in both of those cities. In fact, Saturday, I was flying back from Phoenix with my husband and our daughter, really late landing flight, around 10:30 p.m. We landed into JFK, not my favorite airport, especially coming from Heathrow. But we were deplaning. And I think that is a perfect moment where you see the worst in humanity come out. And we're trying to get out of our row. I have my daughter sleeping on me, and a woman just pushed past us. And I said, "Excuse me," kind of called her out on this bad behavior. And she looked back at me and said, "Welcome to New York." So to me, I know that deplaning an American Airlines flight is hardly a luxury hotel. However, even in that simple explanation, even in that simple example, you see people doubling down on that bad behavior. So I understand what this journalist is saying. Like, he's using different hotel examples to show that certain properties are putting rules of decorum in place, and that's actually helping for everybody else who's staying there.
Yes. And I will say, these hotels are realizing it because people, again, are paying a ton of money to have unique experiences. And then they're curating the environment. They got the right lighting, the right music, the right scent, the right food, everything right. And then what do you got? You got someone on their cell phone with the speakerphone on talking about who knows what. So that's probably my top one now. And so whenever I'm having that happen at a restaurant, I was on a train called the Brightline train, which is a very nice train, and someone was doing it. I start to ask questions about what's going on. Like, hey, what did he say? I missed it. And they're like, what? I said, I couldn't hear.
I've done the excuse me, do you happen to have headphones by any chance? In like a
No,
really
I just jump in. Can I be a part of it too? Because it sounds so much fun of what's going on.
This is a conference call now. You've included the entire lobby. You're right. Like, hotels work so hard. And if we go back to the first example, if you're going to be paying over $1,000 a night to stay at the estate, why should one person acting like that ruin your experience? That's not fair.
Yeah. And I got 2 others, and I want to hear 2 more from you. The other, because I've had to deal with this in my past, is the Bluetooth speakers on the pool deck at these luxury hotels. Like, we've picked a great playlist for you that's going to make everybody happy, or we have live music. Nobody wants to hear the selections that you've picked and blast it across the pool deck, right? Yep. So that is not something that we want going on. And I've had almost a fist fight with a guest, and me being very nice, wanted to fight me because they thought their music was better than what's going to be out there. And then properly addressing for where you're at, right? So I get it. You're at a hotel. I don't need you to come down with your shirt off and sit down for breakfast or wear the robes and slippers. Like, there's a place for that in the spa and in your room, but not walking around the lobby and breakfast. And I've had to deal with a lot of people not being properly dressed in resort wear, and they don't like it. So come on, everybody. Let's treat each other nicely, respect each other. We're all in this together. What about you?
We can do better. We can do better. This might be controversial for a publicist to say, but the rise of almost influencers or people who treat their social channels, which might just be their friends and family, as if they're influencers and doing the kind of staged photo shoots and just blocking your view of the pool or the ocean because they need to get 8,000 angles of themselves. I mean, it is very entertaining to watch, but it's not exactly what I want when I'm staying at a hotel.
Yep, I agree with you on that one, especially when I see them with their stands and lights. Like, hey, look, I go into hotels and I'll film them, but I'm very discreet. I make sure that's just my phone. I'm not coming in with a full camera gear so security doesn't jump on me as I walk through. I know you've trained your teams to make sure you look out for this. So I get it, but come on, we don't need the light pole and the stands and everything going on. And some people don't want to be videotaped either.
Right, exactly. Or like we were talking about with our kids, like I don't want my kid in the background of your video going to whomever follows you. But I think what you touched on there in terms of discretion, right? You and I are always thinking first and foremost about the guest experience. And we probably put ourselves at the bottom of that, right? So even when we're filming or doing something within a hotel, I'm always thinking about how am I making sure I'm not infringing on the other guests who are there?
Yeah. And I also have it's a funny habit because it's built into me. So as I'm filming places, if it doesn't look right, I fix it up a little bit for the hotel. I want to make sure that they look pretty good. I don't want people to look bad because they work so hard in the industry.
Absolutely. I had a wonderful brand leader that I worked with many years ago at Starwood Hotels and Resorts. And we were visiting a hotel for, I don't remember what at this point. And we were walking through one of the hallways and there was a room service tray left outside of a door, from a guest. And he picked it up. And he said, we're all part of this team together. I'm sure they're getting to this, but they haven't gotten to it yet. And I'm here. So it's always like, we're all in it together.
That's a great leader. You see, that's the kind of leaders you want on the hotel team because it's still in me. As I walk through supermarkets, I'll pick something up and my wife's like, what are you doing? I was like, I don't know. I'm brainwashed for 20 years of doing this everywhere.
Exactly.
And holding doors for people and, all the nice things that we should be doing. But you're in New York, I'm in Miami, and it's not known as the nicest cities sometimes.
I know. And I apologize because you have a lot of New York transplants, particularly after the pandemic. So,
but they're getting used to down here because this, what we like to say about Miami is I love living here because it's so close to the United States. And so people come down here and they're like, whoa, all right. Caribbean and Latin are also very aggressive. So it balances everybody out. Everyone's good about it. Well, look, we're flying through this episode already. We've covered our 4 topics, and now we're going to get into our real-time recap. So since you haven't been on the show, we share personal experience from the past week in hospitality. So it could be something positive, could be something negative. But what have you seen out there on the streets in the real world?
So recently I had dinner at the Polo Bar, and I know I'm a little late to this, but guys, forgive me. I just moved back from London, but I went there for dinner with my best friend to celebrate her birthday before we were going to a Broadway show. And it was fantastic. And the food was great, absolutely. But to me, it was the service that just made everything so great. I could go on and on and on about all the little things that they did, but 2 things that really stuck out to me. One of the things we ordered was the veal Milanese, and the waiter had told us, oh, it's big enough to share. So we said, oh, okay, we'll do that. Obviously it's New York. The tables aren't very large. When they brought it out to us, it was already split in half and pre-portioned for us. Now, obviously this is something restaurants have been doing for a really long time, but it's such a good reminder that just those little things of like, I heard you, I understand how you are experiencing this meal. You are going to share this together to make it easier for us. It just was so lovely. Then at the end of the meal, when I had called to make the booking, I must have mentioned we were there for my friend's birthday, but I hadn't seen her for a while. So when we were actually there, we were catching up and I forgot to do the whole go to the bathroom and whisper in the waiter's ear, hey, can we have a little birthday treat for her at the end? I completely forgot. Maybe I'm a bad friend. And at the end of the meal, they still brought out a dessert with, happy birthday on it and a little candle in her, just because I had told them weeks earlier that was. So to me, like that was such a saving grace because it made me look really good too. And it was just like such an example of like listening.
Yes, these little things, just paying attention to the table. And that's what I'm going to touch on too. So I'd never been to this restaurant. It's called Oliver's, and I've driven by it 100 times. And I had a client meeting like, hey, let's meet at this place for breakfast. This was yesterday. Sit down for breakfast. We're the only ones in the restaurant because it's more of a lunch and dinner place, but they have a fantastic menu. And the guy I was with happens to order giant pancakes for breakfast. I'm me trying to be healthy. I'm in the gym. I got my omelet, but yours is a beautiful mound of chocolate chip pancakes, which made me smile.
Yeah.
And the server, looking at this, was like, took some maple syrup from the table, warmed it up in the back, said, "Hey, I brought you some warm maple syrup. I thought it would go great with your pancake instead of what's on the table normally."
Wow.
It was just like a small touch. You just kind of think of like, he thought a little bit extra. It's nothing that's going to cost more money. It's not anything given away for free. Just a small touch to where now I'm talking about it here with you, and I will go back because he was very friendly, and I was very impressed just by that little touch of, "Hey, can I warm up that syrup for you?" And here it is. Not even asking, just brought it out because I thought you would like it to go with your cakes.
Yeah.
So those are kind of things.
It's just the little things. It's the little things, right? Like, we're not looking for him to bring out a gold leaf to be put on top of the pancakes. Like
a briefcase with smoke coming out and all this stuff, which I like the flash. Like I used to get made fun of because my GMs would that was my nickname, was Flash. I liked all the flashy stuff in Miami, and I would create these things. But those are the things I really like. Is like, hey, I thought about you, and I thought this would make your day a little bit better.
Flash is great, but Flash can be expensive, right? So I think people can rationalize why they can't do Flash more. You can warm up some maple syrup.
I agree. Well, look, you had a great first recap, and now we're going to wrap up with our hospitality quote, which is, "The key is to set realistic customer expectations and then not to just meet them, but to exceed them, preferably in unexpected and helpful ways." And that's by Sir Richard Branson. So what comes to mind when you think about that?
Well, I love him. I think he's such an innovator and inspiration. But what comes to mind for me is under promise, over deliver. And I think that's just good life advice.
Yeah, I agree with you. And Richard Branson's done so many things so well. His Virgin Cruise Line is right here in my backyard, and I see so many raving fans that come off of it just because of this, right? He knows how to make sure people leave wowed, and I'm just always impressed by him. And I've got the chance to meet him twice, and just a fantastic person. So Richard Branson, I hope you're having a wonderful Wednesday, and maybe you're watching the show. Who knows? But we love sharing your knowledge out there with everybody. Well, Katie, we did it.
We did it.
You made it through your first episode here. You did a fantastic job. I love doing this with you, and I hope we can guest host a little bit more. But I want to make sure you give the shout out one more time for your podcast and when it's coming out, so people will start signing up. So why don't you leave us with that?
Thank you again, Steve, for having me. Sarah's seat is a very big one to fill. So I really appreciate that. The show is called Sweet Success, launching October 3rd. So reach out at Sweet Success Podcast on any of your favorite social channels or sweetsuccesspodcast.com.
All right. We're all going to be following. I'm going to be signing up after this episode. And until next week, everyone, have a wonderful day.
Want to stop juggling spreadsheets, calendars, and a dozen apps just to run your rentals? Lodgify makes it easy. It's an all-in-one toolkit for hosts. Build a direct booking website, automate guest messaging, and keep all your channels in sync. Running your rental business your way has never been simpler. And for Good Morning Hospitality listeners, you can get 20% off any yearly plan with code GMH20. Just check the link in the show notes to get started today.